Alright, good morning. What's going on, you guys? Welcome to Madrid Hub. Again, I'm your host, Dr. Jota. Tomorrow is the big day. The final, the champions against Liverpool. A very exciting game that we have tomorrow. Of course, I'm not hoping to lose tomorrow because all my hopes, all my prayers, all my thoughts are right now with the Real Madrid side. And of course, hopefully we can win the 14th championship for Real Madrid and still keep being the kings of Europe, right? There's no doubt about that we already are the kings of Europe, right? When it comes to the champions and all the stuff. But tomorrow, man, we have a very difficult, a very challenging test, right? Liverpool is a very, very difficult, a very tough one. And these guys really wants a revenge for what happened like 4 years ago, right? In Kiev. But to me, when it comes to Europe, when it comes to the champions, when it comes to the finals, Real Madrid is a different animal, right? If you keep in mind, over the last 10 years, we've been playing 5 finals out of the 10 possible finals. It's great, man. It's awesome, and that means Real Madrid is the. I'm not going to say is the only team in Europe willing to or able to win all the champions and all the stuff, but to me that means something, and that means we are the biggest rival any other team can have when it comes to winning the champions, right? And we are the toughest one, we are the most difficult one, we are the kings of Europe, right? So I'm not expecting to lose tomorrow, and I hope the best for the players, I hope the best for the team, I hope the best for us, for Los Madridistas, so we can win the champions tomorrow. But now, of course, there are more transfers, there are more signings, there are more rumors, speculations, names, stuff like that we have to talk about. And of course, today a lot of things happen, and of course, I'm going to share with you all every single thing. So today, for example, let's get started with Rafael Leao. As you know, yesterday we learned, and La Gazzetta dello Sport are claiming Rafael Leao might be, or Real Madrid might be interested in Rafael Leao, even throwing on the table about 120 million to sign the player and land the player this season, right? I told you, this is very tricky, right? Because every time Jorge Mendes is behind a player, is behind the news, he really knows how this works, right? And he probably made a call to La Gazzetta dello Sport to tell them, hey, Real Madrid is very interested in signing this player. So La Gazzetta dello Sport say, okay, we have news. Let's say that Rafael Leao or Real Madrid is very interested in Rafael Leao, because that is the trick of Jorge Mendes. That is the way Jorge Mendes works things out, right? And we all know him, right? So I told you guys, this is not true. I'm not gonna say it's fake news, because if it comes from Jorge Mendes, it's news, but it's not real, right? Because Real Madrid is not at all willing to pay 120 million for a player who, yeah, he had a great season, he scored a lot of goals, but of course is not one of the biggest players in Europe, because it's the first season he's really outstanding, and of course he's a very promising player, but to me, he doesn't have the background that, for example, Erling Haaland or Kylian Mbappe had over the last 3 seasons or 4 seasons, right? These guys, Erling Haaland and Kylian Mbappe, were worth about, 150, 200, something like that, just because they have been very consistent over the last years, right? Over the last 3, 4, 5 years, over the last 3, 4, 5 seasons, right? So that's why their worth, it was 150 or 200 or whatever. So Rafael Leao is not possible. How in the world are you going to believe this player is going to worth 120 millions with only 1 season, decently played? It's not possible at all. And if so, Real Madrid is not going to pay that kind of money. And I tell you, let me tell you, that is pretty much impossible, right? The player is very good, but I don't think Real Madrid will splash the cash out of the window for a player from who we don't really know anything else, right? It is not a very smart move, in my opinion. The other thing is today, this morning in Record is a Portuguese newspaper, and they are claiming, I think that they are helping men out because Rafael Leao is from Portugal, right? And I think that they are trying to push to a big club to sign him because he's a great player, and they are kind of, promoting him, right, and helping him to find the best contract ever or the best contract possible with a big club. And they are saying that for them, Rafael Leao will end playing in one of the big clubs in Europe. But it's simply opinion. It's just an opinion. It's not a fact, right? So from my understanding, any other club, any other team other than Real Madrid has been very interested in the player, right? Or even Real Madrid is not really interested in the player. I mean, Real Madrid might have asked about Rafael Leao, but not because we are super interested in the player or signing him right now. It's just for, making the list and see which ones might fit the gap that Kylian Mbappe left in Real Madrid, just because we didn't sign him, right? But that's it. I don't think Real Madrid is really interested in Rafael Leao. So that is regarding to the Milan player. Now let's move on and let's talk about Nkunku. What is going on right now with the Leipzig player? Well, let me tell you, this morning, we've been hearing a lot of things regarding to Nkunku and the possible transfer or signing for Real Madrid, right? But this morning, we were told Chelsea and Manchester United are very, very interested in signing the player. Super interested, so interested. Manchester United next week will drop a lot of money on the table to sign him, right? And they're not talking about numbers or figures or something like that, but apparently it's got to be great. It's got to be huge money for the player. Let me remind you something. All of y'all who really want to sign players like Rafael Leao, Nkunku, or Darwin Núñez, let me tell you something. Every single season, a bunch of players, a bunch of forwards pop up like the next great attacker, the next great strikers, and things like that. And then, right after that, they fail. So that's why Real Madrid is not going crazy with these players, right? And some of y'all are crazy because, no, we have to sign Darwin Núñez, we have to sign Rafael Leao, we have to sign whoever it is because super young, we have a player for the next decade, is the next super player. It's not just that. If you think about it, players like Timo Werner, Ziyech, Kai Havertz, Luka Jovic, they were promising, the next promising players, the next future of the soccer spectrum, and they all failed over the time. When Timo Werner, Kai Havertz, Ziyech, they were signed by Chelsea, what happened? What happened the next season? They were not able to keep up with the number of goals that they scored in the prior season. They were not able to accomplish that. So, what happened with Luka Jovic? Same thing. What happened with Luka Jovic? Same thing. And now we are regretting to buy the player just because he had a good season. One good season, right? So that is exactly what I don't want to happen to Real Madrid. That you sign the player and then it becomes a bluff. It becomes a disaster. It becomes a player that is not worthy what we think it was, right? So that is the only problem with these super young players. I'm not denying these players are good, but they are super young and they don't have the background that, for example, Erling Haaland or Kylian Mbappe did, right? So that is as far as Nkunku. So let's see what happens, but apparently Manchester United and Chelsea are very interested in signing the player. Next, move on and let's talk about Gnabry, because today Bild, the German newspaper, for the second time in a week, is talking about the possible signing of Gnabry to Real Madrid. So what is going to happen? Does he have any chance to sign for Real Madrid? Is that real? It's just fake news. Let me tell you something. Considering Real Madrid will lose to Gareth Bale and Marco Asensio potentially, yes, Gnabry is a winger and he might fit. He might occupy these two spots in Real Madrid because he normally plays in the right wing. He has scored 17 goals, 7 assists, and of course he's 26 years old. And the problem is he only has one more year left to finish his contract, and the relationship with the board members of Bayern Munich is so bad that he's willing to sign for another team. And Real Madrid is tracking and monitoring the situation. So if so, we might go ahead and sign the player, which is for me one of the greatest players ever seen in the last 2 or 3 seasons. And I would be so happy if we are able to sign Gnabry. And then let's move on and let's talk about Lewandowski. The reason for that is because last night in El Chiringuito, all of a sudden we learned Robert Lewandowski, as well, like Gnabry, is having a so bad relationship with the board members of Bayern Munich. He doesn't want to renew his contract with Bayern Munich, and he might be willing to claim the Article 17 of FIFA to break down his contract with Bayern Munich and leave this season to any other team. If that happens, Robert Lewandowski, his market price would drop, and that would be about 12 million euros, which is a giveaway for Real Madrid because that is not money. They were speculating with the possibility for the player to leave Bayern Munich for about 30 to 40 million, right? But now it's a completely different story because we are talking about one of the greatest players ever, a player who is able to score up to 45 to 50 goals every single season, who is only worth about 12 million euros. And for Real Madrid, man, it's that'd be the real deal. That'd be great, right? For Barcelona as well. But as you know, Barcelona is struggling with the finances, so I'm not quite sure if they will be able to sign any other player, right? Or even Robert Lewandowski or whoever it is. But for Real Madrid, considering the player has been trying to sign for Real Madrid over the last years, man, I would say we have a lot of chances to sign Robert Lewandowski. But let's see what happens again. So now, let me know your thoughts about that. Comment in the section below. And of course, subscribe my channel, Real Madrid Hub.